Hi there, I'm Violet Van Hees and this is Grow Your Movement Freedom. Welcome. So today we're going to look at what might be going on when you have a pain or a tightness or injury that keeps coming back over and over and over again, no matter what you do, that should be making a difference and should be helping to resolve this, and it's not. And the main thing we're going to look at is how this might be your body being smart, taking care of you in the best way it knows how. And that doesn't mean that you are defective. So here's what often happens when we get sort of pain or tightness or an injury or something like that. We go along for a while until it's not manageable anymore, and we figure we really should get some help with this, right? And so then we go see somebody. So we might see a medical person, or we might see whoever it is, an exercise person, anybody else. And we get the sense that, oh, this is something that's a specific thing that's wrong with me. And if I do this particular thing, it will be right. I will get better. It will be fine. And so it's like I've got a problem and we're going to do something that's going to fix it and I won't be defective anymore. It's kind of like taking a car to the mechanic, right? And we go and do this thing. And either it doesn't feel good when we do it, or it doesn't give lasting results, or it doesn't actually work for us. We can't get rid of this thing. So then we start to think there's something wrong with me, because other people, when they do this, get better. Apparently this is something that's supposed to be effective. So maybe there's something wrong with me. I am defective in some way, and I am doing something wrong. I might be a bad person, or maybe I'm just not smart enough, or there's something just not right with me, because it can't be that this thing isn't right. And so I want to talk about that a little bit, because actually when your body is not improving, when you're not getting the results that you want, it might be because this thing that's going on for you has got a really deep-seated reason for being there that matters a lot to your body. So in these cases, for example, a tightness that keeps coming back all the time. For me, I've got a tight lower back. It keeps coming back over and over and over again. No matter what I know in my Feldenkrais work and my exercise work and all those other things, it still is something that I have to pay attention to get it to give me length and give me some ease. And so in these kinds of situations, it becomes helpful to ask your body, what was the useful thing that this was doing for me when I first started doing it? Because in a lot of these cases, there was a reason. Your body chose to do this as a strategy to take care of something that was really important at the time. So that could have either been to keep you safe after an injury, like bracing, something where you end up bracing and taking on a bracing pattern so you don't disturb tissue while it's healing. Or it could be a way of blending in a social environment. So for example, if you might find that if your whole social group kind of does this, or your whole family has a particular stance or way of standing, you might have adopted that as well, because that's how you could fit in more easily. It could also be something where you just want to kind of be invisible. So some tall people will start to kind of slump forward. It's almost like they want to make themselves shorter so they can kind of fit in. Or some people that wanted to stay out of trouble might make themselves as small as they can physically in order to feel safe in the world. So it can be a whole range of reasons that you might have for doing what it is you're doing. And the key thing is, your body's not going to give up this thing that it's doing unless it feels that there's something else that you can do that keeps it just as safe and is just as useful. And ideally, it might even be something that becomes more useful than what it is now, because maybe this thing that you're doing, this pattern you've got, was really good when you first needed it, but you don't need it now. So that would be with an injury, right? If I had a broken wrist or something at one point and I held my arm tight and didn't want to move stuff and all the muscles kind of got tight, everything got tight around here, that's great for as long as the tissue has to heal in there. Once the tissue is healed, you can start to experiment with whether now it's safe, whether there's support and structure in there that makes it safe to move, and that you have some strength that's in your wrist now so that you can actually use it again, so that you can make movement, so that you can release that tightness. And once your body is satisfied that something safe and useful is available, it might start to open up those options and go, oh, well, in that case, I can start to use the wrist in a more versatile way. if something's sitting in there because of an old pattern of fitting in or whatever it might be, if you start to ask yourself, what's behind this? What is the useful purpose of doing this? Why is my body doing this? Why was it a great strategy for me at one time? And even get a little bit of a sense of that. Then you can start to address that aspect of why your body's doing what it's doing and start to create new room for a new choice to come in. So that you actually can make a change that your body thinks is a smart idea, or that's a good idea. It has a chance to do it on all the different levels, on your emotional level, on your sense of your own personal safety inside your body, as well as the physical, mechanical aspect of it. Because often the mechanical part of it's the easiest part to deal with, right? We can sort of look at, well, mechanically, you can find more support in a new way, you can find structural support through the bones differently, these kinds of things. But unless the body thinks it's a good idea, and it thinks it's a better idea than the original idea it had, or it realizes that that idea was really useful then, but isn't so useful in all situations now. You might keep doing the old thing because your body figures, well, it was a really good idea then, I better just do it all the time. And you can see this with bracing. For example, after an injury, it's pretty easy to see this. If we don't learn something new, we're plastic, we're neuroplastic. We learn new stuff and we adapt all the time. So when you adapt to something, when you adapt to an injury, you take care of yourself so you can heal that injury up. And your body figures, work then, let's keep doing it. Unless you get a chance to feel something good that actually supports you well. So I often will work with someone who's had an injury or a cast comes off or whatever to feel and sense that now your bones are healing again, now you have good support again, now you can see whether it's okay to use yourself differently because the tissue is healed and because you have that strength and support. I also work with this in the other kinds of situations where it's more of a survival kind of thing that's running in the background, where it's something where you may not have known that you spent a lot of time being tense because it was better to be tense and alert and ready to respond to the world than to not be there. And if you're here all the time, this for me is my pattern, sort of a fight pattern, ready to fight, ready to do stuff, ready to be out there and be active and be vigilant all the time. When you're used to doing that, unless you have another way of feeling safe and actually saying to your body and finding out, is it okay? Am I still safe? Am I still able to respond? Can I still take care of myself when I'm in this other state? My body's going to keep doing the same pattern it's always done. So you might find those things within yourself too. So your tip for today is to ask yourself, what is behind this? If you're noticing that there's something that keeps bugging you, keeps coming back over and over and over again, right? Like, what's the purpose of this thing? What was the really good idea behind this that this strategy has built up around? Because if you can get a little bit of insight into that, you can start to unglue that from the actions that you take now. It's like, it's part of getting unstuck. It's the sense of the same record playing over and over and over again, and you're stuck in it. And the way to get unstuck is to actually notice what's running behind this. What's my body doing to take care of me? And can I take care of myself differently? Can I now acknowledge that and say, hey, that was important and it was great, and now what can I do instead? And if we can do that, if you get a sense of that, then you can start to find out and ask yourself, how is this new thing I'm doing also taking care of me? How is it keeping me going in the world, keeping me safe in the world, keeping me socially engaged, keeping me doing stuff in a way that makes sense to my whole body, not just to my sense of, well, mechanically I should be able to do this. All right? We're complex human beings. It's part of being human. And so it's interesting to get in there and find out what can we do that brings our whole self into answering these kinds of questions, especially when you get stuck. And the big thing on this is when you get stuck, it's not because you're defective. It's because you have a particular strategy that's just not serving you well in all your situations. And if you can get underneath that and get a sense of what it's all about and what's going on for yourself, then you can start to open that up and you can start to make more room for yourself, make the world a little bigger, make your options a little more wide for yourself. If you have any questions about this, or if you'd like more information, please get in touch with me. My website and my contact information is right below here, and I'd love to hear from you on this. This being human business is really a remarkable thing that we do. It's complex, it's interesting, and it's never boring. Have fun exploring with this. Let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.